Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the whole flock of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His Hebrew name is Yahweh. Not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah, not Abba. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shai. So got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rekah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elder bishops and elders of Great Millstone who well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether you can accept it or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Ark pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Hawkwalk who are listening learning, you few sisters who are listening learning. So I titled this lesson, God's chosen people won't own or control none of the resources in this world. So-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians don't control no resources. Salakia. And prophecy, according to prophecy, God's chosen people won't control none of the resources in America or no other place around the world. This is prophecy. So dealing with this guy, or any Edomite that's coming against this truth, and as the apostles, elder bishops, and elders has done amazing edifying lessons, proving that the so-called white man don't deal with the prophecies of the Bible, dealing with who's in the land of Israel right now. They don't deal with that, man. Because the prophecies, if we dealing with the scriptures as we supposed to deal, the world's supposed to deal. If a person say that they are a Christian and they are God-fearing people, when you're dealing with the scriptures, the prophecies say that that the Lord's chosen people, let's just say it like that, that God's chosen people won't own or control no resources in this world because the Lord scattered them throughout the four corners of the earth to be servants and under the curses until the Messiah return. God's chosen people won't own or control no resources in this world. Now, I got this precept. When you read in Genesis 25, Genesis 27, after Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for some lentils, right? When you go to Genesis 27, when Isaac blessed Esau and Jacob, right? He blessed Jacob and Esau. Esau's blessing was to live by the sword, right? That's why there's no better nation at dealing with weapons better than the so-called white man. There's no other nation better than them dealing with weapons. Now, when you read in Genesis 27, the Lord blessed Jacob and Esau through Isaac. He blessed both of them, right? Well, when Esau was under the rulership of King David and then Solomon, because of what happened with Solomon, going off by worshiping no other idols, dealing with those heathen women, the Lord, it said he stirred up. Matter of fact, let me get it real quick. He stirred it to Solomon. Let's read it. But see, they both got a blessing, man. Jacob and Esau both got a blessing. But Esau's blessing is this world. Jacob's blessing comes after this. So let's read this real quick. Now I say, right here, you see it say God raises adversaries. It's 1 Kings 11:14. And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. So after the Lord split the kingdom from Solomon, he stirred up Hadad the Edomite. So this was the beginning flight of the Edomites branching off, basically doing their own thing. Now, so when you go back to Hebrews 11:20, it reads, by faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come, which is what? Their rulerships. Remember, it said, the elder shall serve the younger, right? So that's going into, when you go to 2nd Ezra 6:9, it say Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it, their followers. Well, when you read it, Genesis 27, the Lord said, let's read it. Because I just read First Kings, right? Let's read this again. In First Kings 14, it said, and Yahweh stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. So now the Lord already said this. This is what Isaac told Esau in Genesis. Let me show you. In Genesis 27. So First Kings 11:14, it said the Lord. So when you go to Genesis 27 in verse 39, this is what Isaac said. What I just read in 1 Kings 11:14. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above, which is, it said, the fatness of the earth. Who got the fatness of the earth right now? The elites. The elites got the fatness of the earth, man. Now, when the so-called white man took flight, starting with the Greeks and the Romans and the revived Roman Empire is America, right? They had what? They still got what? Generational wealth and white privilege. That's called the fatness of the earth, man, and of the dew of heaven from above. Now I say, and by thy sword should thou live, right? There is no greater nation on the earth with the sword. Modern day swords is the guns, okay? Their military power. There's no greater nation than the so-called white man with the sword. And it say, and shall serve thy brother, right? Which they did. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And that's in 1 Kings 11:14. When the Lord said he stirred up unto Solomon an adversary, Hadad the Edomite. So that's when they broke their yoke from under us, right? And ever since he broke that yoke, they have been ruling the earth with the sword, man. This is plain. So, back in Hebrews 11 and 20 reads, by faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come, which is in Genesis 27. Okay? Isaac blessed both of them. After Esau broke that yoke, right there in 1 Kings 11:14, they've been running around the earth with the sword ever since, man. Okay? Now, the prophecies say, let's get this. In Revelation, prophecies say that God's chosen people, who are the Israelites, will not own no resources. They won't control none of the resources. This is Revelations 2:2. And this is plain, man. But as the apostles always say, it's not meant for them to get this, man. So it say, but it's plain though. Okay? It said in Hebrews 11:20 that Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau. And that's in Genesis 27. Prophecies say that God's chosen people will not control nor own none of the resources. This is Revelations 2 and 2. It reads, I know thy works and thy labor and thy patience, and how thou canst not bear them which are evil, which is two-thirds of our people. And thou hast tried them which say they are apostles and are not, and hast found them liars, which go into the wicked Pharisees and Sadducees, and has borne and has patience, and of my name's sake has labored and has not fainted. And this is the hopeful elect, right? The spirit of the prophets are subject to the prophets. What is that? John 4 and 38, right? They say, the Lord sent you to reap that where you bestowed no labor. You have entered into other men's labors, right? So it say you has not fainted, has borne, has been patient for my name's sake, and has labored and has not fainted. Because the prophets come back every third and fourth generation, fall into their same lot, and they will not faint, man. They're gonna do the work until the end. The Lord set them up to do the work. The Lord gave them the wisdom not to understand, to feed the sheep with sound doctrine, all truth, and to endure until the end. That's like he told Daniel. Thou shalt sleep with our fathers, and at the end, he's going to return. And he said the same thing in Revelation to John the Revelator. So it say it has not fainted. It say, so again, it say, I know thy works and thy labor and thy patience, and how thou cannot bear them which are evil, and thou hast tried them which say they are apostles and are not, and has found them liars, and has borne and has patience, and for my name's sake has labored and has not fainted. Right? This is verse 9. This is talking to Israel now. We know this talking to the Jews, the so-called Judah, Benjamin, and Levi during the time of the Messiah. It say, I know thy works. Let's put it in the red. I know thy works and tribulation. What tribulation? In Acts 14 and 22, right? It say through much tribulation, confirming the word to the disciples that through much tribulation, so they enter into the kingdom of heaven. This time my Israelites, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. How are we rich? Because the kingdom of heaven is for the meek. It's for Israel. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. It tell you in Second Corinthians, what I'm going to read, okay, verse 6, 2 Corinthians chapter 3, 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9, it say, though we possess nothing, yet we have all things because it is truth, man. Okay, because our DNA goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Goes back to Shem. Okay, so we are rich because of the bloodline. We are rich because the kingdom of heaven is for the 12 tribes of Israel. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty. See, the Lord said, I know your tribulation and poverty. So buzzwords for prophecy, the elites, those that control all the resources, is not in tribulation. They are not in poverty. Okay? The prophecies say, and when you're reading Psalm 79 and 1, Isaiah 36, verse 5, 1 through 5, and Isaiah 36, the Lord, Isaiah 1 and 7, that heathens is in our country, man. Okay? Or Ezekiel 7. Matter of fact, let me get that. Some points I want to make, man. But these devils don't deal with prophecy. Because if we deal with prophecy, which we should, if you say you believe in the Bible, you God-fearing people, then we got to deal with the scriptures. Now, this is Ezekiel 7. This is the Lord talking about how he cast us down, right? The city of Jerusalem. Matter of fact, to show the point, verse 1, it said, punishment, this is the heading, punishment for wickedness foretold. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, also thou son of man, thus saith the Lord power unto the land of Israel, and the end is come upon the four corners of the land. That's all of Israel. Now as the end come upon thee, and I will send my anger upon thee, and will judge thee according to thy ways and will recompense upon thee all thy abominations, right? Dealing with the land. Now, you can read this whole chapter, it's fire. When you go down to verse 20, this is what the Lord say. As for the beauty of his ornament, he said it in majesty, but they made the images of their abomination. Who? Israel did. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. It say, as for the beauty of his ornament, hold on. What is that lamentation? As a matter of fact, let's get this. It's because the word beauty, right? You can read that in Ezekiel 16. It's Lamentations 2 and 1. This is prophecy, man. And these devils don't deal with prophecy. Lamentation 2 and 1 reads, God's anger over Israel. What we read in Ezekiel 7. How had the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with the cloud in his anger and cast down from heaven unto earth the beauty of Israel, and remember not his footstool in the day of his anger. So, back in Ezekiel 7:20, as for the beauty of his ornament, he set it in majesty, but they made the images of their abominations and of their detestable things therein. Therefore have I set it far from them. Set well far from us, the land of Israel. Where we at? We were on the other side of the world, man. South Central North America, scattered at the four corners of the earth. Okay? Look, and I will give it into the hand of the strangers for a prey, and to the wicked. Who's the Bible known? Who's known as the wicked in the Bible? The Edomites, the so-called white man. And to the wicked of the earth for a spoil, and they shall pollute it. What's going on in Tel Aviv right now? Why is there Israelis and what's this Israelis and Palestinians fighting over the land of Israel? It's a lot of bloodshed going on over there, right? Why is it the biggest parade over there in Tel Aviv, right? So it say, and I will give it into the hand of the strangers for a prey, and to the wicked of the earth for a spoil. When you read Malachi 1, verse 3 and 4, the wicked is the Edomites. Proverbs 3 and 33, Isaiah 34 and 5. The Lord called Idumeans, the Edomites, the wicked. And they shall pollute it. They got kosher pig over there. That's polluting it. My face will I turn also from them. Who? It ain't talking about the land now. It's talking about the people, the Israelites, Benjamin, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, in all 12 tribes. My face will I turn also from them, and they shall pollute my secret place. Who's going to pollute it? The wicked, the Edomites. For the robbers shall enter into it and defile it. Hold on. What did the Lord say about the robbers? Let me get it from the phone. What did the Lord tell about the Edomites when the Babylonians came in to take us down? Let's read it. In Psalms 50. See, it's too many prophecy precepts to say that you the peoples of the Lord. In Psalms 50, I want to read this point because it say what? For the robbers shall enter into it and defile it. This is Psalms 50. In verse 18, it reads, let's read 16. But unto the wicked, God saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldst take my cut in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instructions, and cast my words behind thee? When thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him. So if you saw a thief and you consent with him, what that make you? A robber. That's heavy. It makes you a robber. For the robbers shall enter into it and defile it. Defile what? The land of Israel. Because the Lord said, my face will I turn also from them, from Israel, Judah, Benjamin, Levi at the time. And they shall pollute my secret place, the robbers, for the robbers shall enter into it and defile it. Make a chain, for the land is full of bloody crimes, crimson, red, the Edomites, and the city is full of violence. Wherefore, here's the point, I will bring the worst of the heathen. Who is the worst of the 17 heathen nations? The so-called white man. Why? Because he perfected the sword. He's the worst. What he bring to the table? The CDC, rape, rob, murder, pillage, and plunder, and diseases. That's what he bring. He's the worst of the heathen, man. Wherefore will I bring the worst of the heathen, and they shall possess their houses. I will also make the pomp of the strong to cease, which is Israel, and their holy places shall be defiled. He said he's going to bring the worst of the heathen. Now, going back to Revelation 2 and 9, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Because what the seed line we come from, Shem, through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, King David and Solomon. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogues of Satan. Talking about those wicked Pharisees and Sadducees. The point is, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Now, the those that control the earth is not in poverty, man. Okay. Now this is Matthew chapter 5 and 1. Prophecy points, which it been done many times over. I was just meditating on this at the plantation, man. These guys talking about, listen, they don't fit none of the curses. They don't fit none of the prophecies that says that God's chosen people would not own none of the resources, man. This is Matthew 5 and 1. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The elites ain't poor. The small hats ain't poor. They get $3 billion a year annually from America, man, to Israel. They ain't poor. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. The elites ain't mourning. Michael Brown ain't mourning. Vocab Malone ain't mourning. James White ain't mourning. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. It say, verse 6, blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. This is talking about so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Hold on. It say, blessed are the merciful. What does the scripture say about him that show no mercy? The so-called white man never showed us no mercy, man. This is James 2 and 13. It reads, for he shall have judgment without mercy that showeth no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. You remember what this devil did to us on on the plantations, man? Huh? Do you remember? Buck broke Jake in front of his wife and kids, took away a man's dignity. Oh, made us shave off and call you boys because when you look at the word beard, it's a badge. It's a man's dignity, man. That's why they call us boy. It say, blessed are the merciful, but they shall obtain mercy. They cut off Jake rods, hung them up with their rod cut off, with a hand tied behind their back. They burnt them alive. Where the mercy at? So now Jake gonna say, oh, he's showing up mercy because we get to work and make money. Listen, man, we are tributaries still to the so-called white man, the elites. Because Michael Brown is not the one that's signing your checks and taking taxes out of it, man. It's the Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, okay, the Rockefellers. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of power, the children of God. The so-called white man is not a peacemaker. He's been going around the earth destroying everything, taking all the resources. He's not a peacemaker, man. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake. And that's what they're doing. That's what Vocab Malone and all these two-thirds, and that's what James White and Michael Brown is doing. They are persecuting through their words the hopeful elect, man. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The Lord say the meek. Blessed are they that mourn. Those that control all the resources is not in mourning, man. This ain't talking about your average everyday so-called white person. It's talking about the elites who control the resources. Now, if you happen to be a so-called white person and you're on the bottom, you need to go take it up with the elites because this is your rulership, which is crumbling, by the way, by the day. Now, this is Luke, and this is plain. The Lord's the Lord's chosen people will not control none of the resources, man. This is Luke 6 and 20. Plain precepts. Plain as day, man. What is it? Who is this? All right, bro got him. I'm gonna hey, the brother told you, hey, we don't know who you used to listening to or watching, but if you're a female, if you're a sister, you need to keep quiet. So this is Luke 6 and 20. And he lifted up his eyes on his disciples and said, Blessed be ye poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are ye that hunger now, for ye shall be filled. Blessed are ye that weep now, for you shall laugh. Is the elites hungry? No. Is Michael Brown and Vocab and James White hungry? No. They get a nice bag. Blessed are ye that hunger now, for ye shall be filled. But this is talking about the elites. Michael Brown and Vocab alone is nobody, man. They might well be one of these so-called white people that we see in the Walmart, man. They are nobody. This is talking about the elites. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall speak, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you and cast your name out as evil for the Son of Man's sake. And that's they calling us black Hebrew Israelites. And they know there's 12 tribes of Israel, okay, so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. It said, rejoice ye in that day and leap for joy. And we glad, hey, because First Corinthians 11:19 said, must be heresies among us. So that our people would know who's approved among you to teach sound doctrine. Rejoice ye in that day and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. For in like manner did they fathers unto the prophets. Verse 24, but woe unto you that are rich, for ye have received your constellation. You have received your consolation. Woe unto you that are full, for ye shall hunger. Woe unto you that laugh now, for ye shall mourn and weep. See? So who got the money? This is James. Now, ever since the retail apocalypse has started, one of their first, I did a lesson on it was maybe a couple years ago, maybe 3 years. It's been going by so fast. Maybe 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I did a lesson dealing with the retail apocalypse, which we did many lessons. But one in particular I did, um, one of their first soup stores in New York got shut down. Now, of course, they're doing it on purpose because they're transitioning from one store to another, right? Because that's how they do file bankruptcy and all that. But the point is, it say James 5:1, go to now ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth eaten. What's the so-called? It say your riches. Who it say go to now ye rich men. So who's rich in this world? And we talking about real wealth. We ain't talking about no LeBron James and Michael Jordan because they don't got no money. We ain't talking about no Warren Buffett's and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, okay, and Bill Gates. We talk about the elites, man. It say your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth eaten. What's the so-called white man garments? His suits and ties, right? His suits and ties, man. And one of their store, one of the first stores that they opened up here in America when America was established by the so-called white man. One of their first suit stores had closed down. I think it was Brook Brothers, if I ain't mistaken. Maybe in another one. So who are we dealing with here? Who control all the resources, man? Because the prophecies say them that control the resources, man. And who control the resources? Now, I just read it said your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth eaten, right? What did the Lord say about his chosen people's garments? Let's read it in Isaiah 61. Going to the point of the elites is not in mourning, man. They sitting on hundreds of acres of land with no houses around them, man. The elites don't. The elites ain't pulling out steaks that's been froze in the freezer, man. Okay. The only thing they probably got in the freezer or getting chilled off and cool is wine, man, and liquor. Okay. They have a Total Wine. I'm sure they in all states. I don't know, but there's a store called Total Wine down here in Florida. When you go in there, they have bottles of wine that cost like $5,000, man. Me and the brother looking at a bottle of Hennessy that was like $4,000 for a bottle of Hennessy, man. Wine bottles 3-4 grand. We saw a bottle of wine cost $10,000, man. Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians don't own that, man. The so-called white man do. And these guys will fight tooth and nail when they know they control all the resources. This is what the Lord said about his chosen people's garments. Isaiah 61:1. The spirit of Yahweh power is upon me, because the Lord have anointed me to preach good tidings unto who, Lord? The meek. He have sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. The elites ain't brokenhearted, man. They control everything. To proclaim liberty to the captives. The elites is not captive, man. They the ones that's holding everybody hostage. What's it say in Isaiah? Was it Isaiah 14, right? In 17, it say that open not the house of his prisons. Who control the prisons? The so-called white man. And if you happen to be a so-called white person and you locked up, hey, then you just a triple time loser, because this your kingdom. You don't supposed to be locked up around here with your pants sagging off your butt, staying in trailer parks. Y'all people own all the resources. And I'm gonna keep saying it. Why is there homeless white people in America when the so-called white man controls all the resources? Don't worry, I'll wait. Again, because the Lord have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek, he has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Who's bound? So-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians under the so-called white man, and in these bodies. Mainly, it's talking about these bodies because, hey, the Lord broke that yoke of mentally, spiritually, and emotionally following the ways of the so-called white man, his philosophies, his religion. The Lord have broken that. Okay, so we are spiritually, mentally, and emotionally following the ways of Yahweh Shema Shah. Lord willing, we endure to the end. It say, verse 2, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all that mourn. The elites is not in mourning, man. To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion. Monument. Okay? To Zion, monument. Memorial, the Lord's chosen people, man. To give unto them who, Israel, beauty for ashes. Why is ashes? Because we are in mourning. And in the ancient time, when you was mourning, you put ashes on your head, man, and rent your clothes, man, rent your garment. It say to give unto them beauty for ashes. I read Lamentations 2:1. It say how the Lord cast down the beauty of Israel to the ground. It said the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. See, turning back to who we was, man, before we sinned, that they may be called trees of righteousness. You can read that in Psalms 1:1. The planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. See, the least is not in mourning, man. Now this is 2 Corinthians. There's some points I was thinking about, man. Which then it came out many times over, many times. Apostles and elder bishops doing edifying lessons, man. But prophecy say that God's chosen people will not control none of the resources, man. They won't control none of the resources, man. Oh, as a matter of fact, let's get this in Ephesians. I just got a couple precepts. In Ephesians 6, it reads, Ephesians 6 and 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. This word wiles mean trickery. It's trickery, cunning arts. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, because we dealing with the spiritual demon Satan, but against principalities, against powers, and it's the spiritual demon Satan has physical seed on earth. It said against the rulers, against the rulers, against the rulers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. It's a spiritual wickedness. It's a we wrestle not against flesh and blood, because we deal with the spiritual demon Satan. And what? His physical seed on earth, which are who? The rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole arm of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. So, dealing with our meekness and mourning, okay, and ashes, the Lord said He gave us this garment, this armor to put on. Wherefore, take unto you the whole arm of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, which is Jacob's trouble, and having done all to stand. Jacob's trouble, uh, Jeremiah 30 and 7, Daniel 12 and 1, Matthew 24 and 24, man. Okay? A day shall come that shall not ever been on earth, man. Stand therefore, having your loins girded about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith. Oh, that's what I was going to say. You Idumeans, you Edomites are rich in resources. The Israelites are rich in faith. How about that, man? The Lord made you carnal and made us spiritual. We can't tap into your blessing, which is the sword, and you can't tap into our blessing, which is the Holy Spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah. You can't do it. That's a great gulf fix. It would never happen. That's why we don't supposed to expect them to understand, man. Daniel 12 and 10 said the wicked would not understand. You can try to make it get it till they blue in the face. They are not going to get it. But these lessons are always edifying for those that's being reactivated, man. Lord willing. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery dots of the wicked. And as the Lord said, you got Isaiah 54 and 17, right? This is a heritage of servants. Luke 21 and 15, the Lord have gave us a mouth and wisdom that neither our adversary can either gainsay nor resist. We don't need the so-called white man's validation that we are the Hebrew Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel. We don't need it. The Lord gave us the scriptures. Romans 15 and 4 says written a 4-time ago for our learning, man. We don't need the so-called white man validation. We are here to cut them and show them that they don't know. They don't understand what we worship, man. They don't understand what we worship and why. But we do. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. What wicked? Hold on, it said all the fiery darts of the wicked. Who is the wicked? Everything that the so-called white man is going to throw at the whole flag, it's going to fall. It's going to fail. You remember Neo on Matrix? When him and the guy was in the subway and he stopped and the guy started shooting the bullets and he stopped the bullets in mid-air, right? Oh no, that was in the hotel scene when they was in the building in the high-rise building. And they shot the bullets and he stopped them with his hand and grabbed one of the bullets and looked at it and the bullets fell. That's all the fiery darts of the wicked coming at you, man. Okay? From who? It say, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. That's what the armor. This is what the armor Yahweh Shema Shah doing, man. Okay, as they get shot off, you stopping them in mid-air and they just fall into the ground. It say all the fire dots of the wicked. Who is the wicked? The so-called white man. The scriptures say the so-called white man is the wicked man, the Edomites. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the spirit, which is what, Lord? Which is the word of Yahweh Shema Shai. You see? So, 2 Corinthians 6:3. Give no offense in anything that the ministry be not blamed. And they can't make us, they cannot, this is something they cannot do, man. So what they got to do? Hey, if there's a quote on Google, it is worded, when a debate is lost, slander become the tool of him that lost the debate, man. What Vocab Malone and Michael Brown doing? Slandering, man. Because the Lord didn't get them the understanding of the scriptures, man. They don't get it. It say, but in all things, approving ourselves, what? What it says, 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved, man. Because the Lord say he has given us a mouth and wisdom that need our adversary can either gainsay nor resist, man. So they hurt because they lost the debate. So slander is the only thing for a loser. But in all things, approving ourselves as the ministers of God in much patience, in afflictions, in necessities, in distresses. This don't apply to the elites. They ain't being afflicted. They ain't lacking necessities. They ain't in distresses, in stripes, in imprisonments, in tumults, in labors, in watchings, in fastings. The elites is not being in prison. They ain't going through tumults. They ain't going through stripes. It said by pureness, by knowledge, by long suffering, by kindness, by the Holy Spirit, by love unfeigned, by the word of truth, by the power of Yahweh Shema Shah, by the armor of righteousness on the right hand and on the left. We just read in Ephesians 6. The armor of Yahweh Shema Shah has us covered on both sides, by honor and dishonor, by evil report and good report. There's no evil report coming from the elites. Everything is being said is all good from them, man. But guess what's coming from us? Evil report. Well, the world saying they got good report. This talking about us by honor and dishonor, by evil report and good report, as deceivers and yet true. Michael Brown said we deceivers, but the Lord say as deceivers and yet true. We don't need that validation. The Lord say and yet true, man. Thus saith the Lord, man. Okay, as unknown and yet well known. You see, as unknown and yet well known. And they don't never come against, they taking that madness to these other guys. They ain't coming to Great Millstone with that. And Vocab tried and he failed miserably, horribly. He failed against the apostles. So he been going well to everybody else, as unknown and yet well known, as dying, and behold, we live, as chastened and not killed, as sorrowful, always repenting, daily repenting, yet always rejoicing, as poor, yet making many rich, as having nothing, and yet possessing all things. None of this applies to the elites, man. None of it. None of it applies to them, man. So, yep, beautiful. GMS Spiritual Art 144K, Habakkuk 2 and 4. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. And going back to Hebrews 11, man. Hebrews 11, okay? Let me read it again. The Lord blessed Esau and Jacob, man. Jacob's blessing is coming after Esau's blessing, man. Again, let's get this. Let's get this. Let me hold this. See, they don't want to deal with this, man. They don't want to deal with this because they can't. Because prophecies say God's chosen people would not control none of the resources nor own anything. Now, again, Hebrews 11:20. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau, concerning things to come, which is what? Both of their rulerships. See, this is what it's about, man. Jacob got a rulership and Esau got a rulership. That's what this is about. So when you read 2 Ezra 6 and 9, it says Esau is the end of the world because this is his rulership and it's almost over. Now here comes Jacob's blessing, which is the rule of the next kingdom forever. By faith, Hebrews 11 and 20, by faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. See? So what did Isaac tell Esau? He said he will break his brother's yoke and he will have dominion. 1 Kings 11:14. And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. So this showing you right here that Genesis 27, when Esau's yoke was broken, man. It was broken during the time of Solomon, man. Again, Genesis 27:39. And as his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, which the elites control the best parts of the earth, man. They eat real food, man. They want steaks. They steaks get slaughtered daily, man. They ain't eating no meat that's in the freezer, man. Okay? The elites ain't eating no GMO vegetables, man. No GMO fruits. They grapes got seeds in it, man. And they ain't eating no plum cherries neither. They ain't eating food that's spliced with different type of seeds, man. Oh, they ain't eating no catfish. They ain't eating no tilapia. And they ain't eating no salmon that's breaded with eel, man. The elites eating the best of the best. And they eat fresh food daily, man. Don't be no fool, man. And as his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. That's why they got palaces. They don't got mansions. They have palaces that sits on hundreds of acres of land and no house around them for miles and miles, man. Yeah. Thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. This is their rulership. It say, and the dew of heaven from above. What the saying is, this is the so-called white man's heaven and the so-called black man's hell. And by thy sword shall thou live. They have over 800 military bases around the world, man. Nobody has perfected the sword as the so-called white man. That's his blessing. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother, which I just read to you in 1 Kings. They was under King David and Solomon. When Solomon got the kingdom from David, the Edomites were still under rulership. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck, which I read to you in 1 Kings 11:14. So going back to Hebrews 11, it said what? Isaac blessed Esau and Jacob concerning things to come. And when you read Genesis 27, start at verse 1. Isaac blessed Jacob. Jacob left, and he blessed Esau. Well, Esau took flight, starting with the Greek Empire. They had the Greeks, which is the beginning rulership. Then they had the Romans, which is when they magnified their rulership. And now they got America, which is when they perfected their rulership. The Greeks was them establishing the sword. The Romans is when they magnified the sword. In America, this rulership now is when they perfected the sword, man. Because the so-called white man, this is the best. He's at his best when it comes to weaponry, man. Now they got the Lord gave them this technology, man, with drones, right? Missiles. Look at this. What the Lord say here. That's what the Lord say in Isaiah. Let me get this. When the so-called white man's destruction come upon America, Babylon the Great. Right here, look. Verse 9, Isaiah 47:9. But these two things shall come upon thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection. See what I'm talking about? That's why I've been saying this. The Greek Empire was the so-called white man establishing the sword. The Roman Empire was them magnifying the sword. And America Empire was them perfecting the sword. So what's going to come upon them in their third rulership? The perfection of them being destroyed, man. Thus saith Yahweh. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection. for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thy enchantments. See, so Lord was edifying. Gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rikad Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, and the bishops, and elders of great millstone who teach well, while the apostles and elders of all Israel already accepted or not. In a sense, his salutation to all the doctrine, pushing this truth and believing it's true throughout the four corners of the earth, shedding light to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Akwath who are listening, learning. If you sisters are listening, learning. Lord was edifying. Till next time, I say, to watch for tuning in. May Yahweh Shemah shall continue blessing your houses. Stay prayed up. Wah, a Bible ball.